Mentalism, the principle of the mind. Mentalism is one of the 7 Hermetic principles outlined in the Kybalion, a key text in Hermetic philosophy. It states that the all is mind, meaning that everything in the universe, from the smallest particle to the vastness of the cosmos, is created and governed by the mind. This principle suggests that all phenomena are essentially mental constructs, and reality itself is shaped by the consciousness of the observer. At its core, mentalism teaches that the mind is the foundational force of the universe. If we understand how to harness and control our thoughts, beliefs, and perceptions, we can begin to shape our personal reality in profound ways. The idea is that the material world, rather than being solid and separate from us, is in fact an extension of our mental and spiritual state. Key concepts of mentalism. Everything is mental. The universe and all that exists within it is ultimately a manifestation of a universal mind. The material world, including space and time, is the result of mental processes. Thought creates reality. The power of thought, belief, and imagination can influence, create, and alter one's experience of reality. What you focus on, believe in, and think about most often will shape the circumstances and conditions you experience. The mind is the builder. Your conscious and subconscious mind are the architects of your life. Thoughts and beliefs, whether positive or negative, attract similar experiences into your life. Examples of Jesus demonstrating mentalism. Throughout the teachings and actions of Jesus Christ, we can observe powerful examples of the principle of mentalism, the ability to shape reality through the power of thought, belief, and divine mind. 1. Jesus calming the storm. Mark 4 verses 35 to 41. Story. In the Gospel of Mark, there is a story where Jesus and his disciples are crossing a lake. A sudden storm arises, and the disciples are terrified. They wake Jesus, who is sleeping calmly in the boat. He responds by saying, "Why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith?" Then Jesus commands the storm to stop. "Peace, be still." Immediately, the storm ceases, and there is a great calm. Mentalism in action. Jesus demonstrates the power of the mind over external circumstances. The storm, which appears to be a chaotic, uncontrollable force of nature, is instantly subdued through the authority of Jesus' spoken words, words that reflect the clarity and control of his mind. This is an example of mentalism because it shows how the power of thought, belief, and divine intention can override the material world. Jesus' calm faith in the face of danger transcends the storm's external reality, illustrating that true mastery over the material world comes from controlling the mental and spiritual state of the individual. 2. Jesus healing a blind man. John 9 verses 1 to 12. Story. In the Gospel of John, Jesus encounters a man who has been blind from birth. The disciples ask him if the man's blindness is a result of his sin or his parents' sin. Jesus replies, "Neither this man nor his parents sinned, but this happened so that the works of God might be displayed in him." He then spits on the ground, makes some mud with the saliva, applies it to the man's eyes, and tells him to wash in the pool of Siloam. After doing so, the man is able to see. Mentalism in action. In this instance, Jesus is using his mind not just as a healer, but as one who understands the deeper spiritual laws that govern life. His belief in the man's potential for healing, his confidence in God's will, and his direct command over the material world, the mud, the act of washing, all reflect the principles of mentalism. The material action, spitting and making mud, is a mental process, a physical manifestation of his divine intention. Jesus does not just passively accept the man's blindness. He actively shifts the mental and spiritual states. both his own and the blind man's, and by doing so, brings about a transformation in the physical reality of the man's sight. How to apply mentalism in your own life. To apply the principle of mentalism in your own life, you can start by focusing on the following practices. Mindfulness of thought. Recognize that your thoughts are powerful and create the world you experience. Be vigilant about what you think, believe, and focus on. Train your mind to think positively, affirming your own potential and aligning with higher principles. Visualization. Like Jesus commanding the storm, you can visualize your desired outcomes clearly in your mind. See the world in your life as you wish it to be, holding that vision with unwavering belief. Faith in the power of the mind. Just as Jesus had unshakable faith in his divine authority over physical reality, you can build faith in your own mental capacity to shape your life. This requires consistent practice and belief in your ability to influence your circumstances. Speak with authority. Words are incredibly powerful tools in shaping our mental and material world. Speak with confidence and authority, affirming your goals, your health, and your desires. Words can be a direct extension of your inner thoughts and beliefs. Transforming challenges. When faced with challenges, approach them with a mindset of solution and creativity. Just as Jesus calmed the storm, you can shift your mental focus to inner peace and clarity, which will influence how you respond to external obstacles. 1. Jesus heals a paralyzed man, Mark 2 verses 1 to 12. Story. In this well-known story from the Gospel of Mark, a paralyzed man is brought to Jesus by his friends. They cannot get close to Jesus because of the large crowd, so they dig a hole in the roof and lower the man down on a mat. When Jesus sees their faith, he says to the paralyzed man, "Son, your sins are forgiven." This statement causes a stir among the religious leaders present, as they believe only God can forgive sins. Jesus, knowing their thoughts, responds by saying, "Why are you thinking these things?" Which is easier, to say to this paralyzed man, "Your sins are forgiven," or to say, "Get up, take your mat and walk," to prove his authority. Jesus then tells the man, "I tell you, get up, take your mat and go home." Immediately, the man stands up, takes his mat, and walks out in full view of everyone. Mentalism in action. This story vividly demonstrates mentalism in action. Jesus is not just acting through physical healing techniques, but through the power of thought and divine intention. His words, "Your sins are forgiven," directly address the man's spiritual state, which in turn brings about a physical transformation. By forgiving his sins, Jesus shifts the paralyzed man's mental and spiritual state, and the result is a miraculous healing of his body. Jesus understands that mental and spiritual alignment leads to physical transformation, showing that the mind or spirit is the cause of physical reality. In this case, the paralyzed man's faith and the faith of his friends are key. Their belief that Jesus could heal him shapes the outcome, demonstrating that belief and intention are powerful enough to manifest change, even in the most desperate situations. 2. The centurion's faith, Matthew 8 verses 5 to 13. Story. A Roman centurion approaches Jesus, asking for help with his servant, who is lying at home paralyzed and suffering. Jesus agrees to go to the centurion's home to heal the servant, but the centurion says, "Lord, I do not deserve to have you come under my roof, but just say the word, and my servant will be healed." He explains that, as a man of authority, he understands how power works. When he gives an order, it is carried out without question. Jesus marvels at the centurion's faith and replies, "Truly I tell you, I have not found anyone in Israel with such great faith." Jesus then tells the centurion, "Go, let it be done just as you believed it would." And at that very moment, the servant is healed. Mentalism in action. The centurion's understanding of mentalism is profound. He grasps that Jesus' authority comes not from physical proximity or action, but from the power of his mind, specifically, his will and command. The centurion's faith in Jesus' power to heal with a simple thought, his spoken word, demonstrates the principle that belief and intention alone can shape reality. By acknowledging that Jesus does not need to be physically present to heal, the centurion recognizes that mental command and spiritual authority are the true forces that bring about transformation. This story emphasizes the concept that reality is influenced not by mere physical actions, but by mental and spiritual power. Jesus responds to the centurion's faith, affirming that it is his belief in the unseen power of Jesus' mind that has healed the servant. How these stories relate to mentalism. Both of these stories illustrate how the mind and belief shape reality in profound ways. In the first example, Jesus shows that mental and spiritual alignment, forgiveness of sins, can heal the body. In the second, the centurion demonstrates how faith in the power of words and mental command can manifest immediate physical results. Both examples highlight that mental power, whether through thought, faith, or divine intention, has the ability to transcend material limitations and bring about miraculous transformations in the world around us. They align perfectly with the Hermetic principle of mentalism, showing that at a deep spiritual level, the mind is the most powerful force in shaping the reality we experience. Applying mentalism from these stories, faith and belief. Like the paralyzed man and the centurion, when you believe with full certainty that something is possible, you open the door for it to happen. Faith is not just about hoping. It's about having a mental certainty that reality can be shaped by your intention. The power of words and thought. Just as Jesus used words to heal and transform, you can use your words and thoughts to align your reality with your desires. Every thought, every affirmation, every belief is a building block of the reality you experience. Mastery over mental and spiritual states. If you can control your thoughts and belief systems, just as Jesus did, you can begin to influence the material world in ways that seem miraculous. Mastering your mind is key to shaping your life. Both stories encourage you to see that what happens in the mind often precedes what happens in the body or the physical world. The more you cultivate mental clarity, faith, and intention, the more you can bend reality in alignment with your desires.